So this one's gonna be titled the 7 heads and 10 horns of the red dragon. The last days. So you can kind of get some understanding as to why I'm doing this and how this is important. What I'm going to do is give you a couple of examples of what's being said out there so you can see like what people are saying. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to show out of the book what the book is saying. You feel me? So I'll let you get that then real quick. You good? So I got 2 clips here. This is the older one. I'm gonna play it first.
13 verse 1, again. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
How do you know what you read?
It represents the color of Esau, and it's according to Genesis 25 and 25.
You shaking your head, yes. He didn't give me the precept Revelation 12. He just omitted that. Because in Revelation 12, it tells you that the dragon is what? Red. Then you go with that. You over here shaking your head. See what annoys me? Go ahead, Amon. What is a 7 heads? What is 7 heads?
Well, it represents
Stand up.
they represent the European Union, which is Greek.
Is that what he says?
I can't even hear.
No.
Somebody have a seat, Amada. The 7 heads does not represent the European Union. Phil.
The major empires of Esau, starting with Greece, Rome, Spain, France, Germany, Russia, and Great Britain.
Did you say France?
Yes.
Okay.
Before
All right.
Germany and Russia.
So what are the 10? So you stand up back up. Phil. What are the 10 horns?
European Union is the common markets of NATO.
All right. The 10 horns is the 10 common markets, also called the European Union, also called NATO. You see them mentioned in the news all the time. Okay? What verse we at?
Verse 2.
All right, go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority.
Read it again.
And the beast which
Stop. And the beast. Who is this beast talking about? Ezekiel? Somebody help Ezekiel, Phil. Barnabas, please. Esau. This beast is the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Esau. This beast is the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So John here in verse 2 is giving, he's abbreviating. He says the beast. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Okay, now, many Bibles will precept you back to Daniel 7. However, it's not saying that this beast is made up of the Persians and the Medes. Or what was one of the other in Daniel 7? The Babylonians. What else?
Persians and Greeks. And Rome.
It's not saying that these other nations. Remember, it tells you the color of this beast. The color of the beast is what?
Right.
So it's talking about one race of people who have attributes like them other empires, but that's not them. Like the leopard. Whose symbol was the leopard in Daniel 7?
The Greeks.
The Greeks. So they have attributes of the Greeks. The Greeks is a part of them. So guess what? The Greeks were red also. So we know the Greeks is a part of this dragon. Go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet as the feet of a bear.
Now, if you follow your precept of Daniel 7, who was the bear? Yes.
The Persian and the Medes.
But we know that this empire is not the Persian and the Medes. Right, brothers?
Yes.
I gotta scratch my head. Who took the symbol of the bear in this time and age? Who took the symbol of the bear in this time and age? Who took the symbol of the bear in this time and age? Yes.
Russia.
Russia took that symbol of the bear. Go ahead.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
Now in Daniel 7, who had the symbol of the lion? Abiel.
Babylon.
Right, Babylonians was Ethiopia. But this is not talking about Ethiopia because it already told you this great red dragon. So it's talking about one race. Keep that in mind. Esau. What Edomite empire took the symbol of the lion? Yahshua. Right. Everybody got that? Write it down. Because some of y'all just looking up at me. Like I know I got pimples, but come on. They can't be that big. Where we at?
Verse 2.
Go ahead.
And the dragon gave him his power.
And the dragon gave this red dragon. Who's the dragon there? Azariah.
The dragon is the devil.
The devil. The spiritual demon, Satan, gave Esau their power.
This doesn't say red.
No, in chapter 12. Okay, let's do this. I see. That's why I needed you to. So, go to 12 in verse 3. So, it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. You see what I'm saying? So, that red dragon is the same beast that you see over here in 13:1. I saw a beast rise up out of the sea having 7 heads and 10 horns. So that dragon and this beast is the same. Now, and I don't have a clip on here. There's another clip. Actually, when I called into a camp live thing once, he was trying to convince me that this dragon was Edom, just like somebody just said in the crowd right here. The problem with that is that it goes directly against what this same book in this same chapter is saying. So if you go to 12 and 9, it tells you who this red dragon is. So verse 9 to 12, it says, and the great dragon was cast out. What does the rest say?
That old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world, he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So that dragon is talking about Satan. It's not talking about no exclusivity with Edom. Key thing, exclusivity. Yeah, Edom was one of those satanic nations, but there's a plethora of them.
It's not just him.
Yeah, they make.
It's not just them.
Right. I don't know why these camps make it exclusive.
Like he was correcting them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I gave props. That was a proper correction. Because, yeah.
Okay, then there's something else that just someone angel.
Mm-hmm. Which verse? Which verse are you talking about?
12 and 9.
Okay, well, yeah.
His angels. And his angels were cast out with
Mm-hmm.
him. Define angel.
That's so, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but whether you like it versus whether it's true is two different things. So in Enoch, where we read months ago, it was
learned about his disciples, but
and see, and disciple could either be because Hamashiach had his disciples. We assume that angel is like from religion is good. Like no, you can be. Just like people are bad, they come from bad spirits. But people are good, they're good spirits.
Satan, he's in heaven right now.
Wait, you said people say Satan's in heaven?
No, I'm saying at this point where we're talking about the people who are describing this great dragon, he's in heaven right now. Before he's cast out. Before he's cast, they're talking about him being in heaven. They see him setting up on the sea. They're seeing him in heaven.
No, they're not saying they were seeing him in heaven. They're saying that he was cast from heaven.
Okay, but he was there.
Right, of course.
He was an angel. So that's my point.
Yeah, because all spirits come from the Most High. People forget that Satan is still doing the Most High's work. It's just the spirit of deception to test spirits. It's just like you're questioning you're debating, not questioning, a shorty on if you want to marry her or not. You should test her spirit, see if she is easily entertaining random dudes. So you might test her spirit to see. It's just to see if it's all it is, but it comes from you. That you might have like a friend of yours. Hey, I'm gonna go out, whatever. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Try to holler at her once I'm gone to see if she bites or if not. It's kind of, it's what the Most High does. Satan is a tool of the Most High.
Okay, so angel is what?
Angel, again, it's spirit. Satan's a spirit. Because this also it goes to Isaiah 27:1. This is like a precept also to this, where it's that same dragon, which is a serpent.
I'm not talking about Satan. I'm not exclusively talking about Satan. I'm talking about like the term angel. You're saying it's just another word of saying.
It's like spirit.
So then what's demon?
That's just like another word. That's another way. That's just like, there's multiple ways of saying angel. There's multiple ways of, it's the same thing. It's direct. Demon's like directly a bad spirit. Angel is neutral.
Okay.
Demon, you know that's one of Satan's spirits.
Right. Okay.
A holy angel, you already know that's one of the Most Highs. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So just doing that real quick, getting back into it. So what he did was straight up lie, and he gave some backwards nonsense. I was wondering if you caught that.
Yeah, but was he right about the 10 crowns?
Only thing he was right about is that dragon was red and that it says so in chapter 12. That was the only thing he was right about.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
I mean, but he was going on about NATO, like.
Right, he did. This is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted right there. Go ahead.
So this is your video.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's you right there, right?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. That's what I wanted you to see. This was a part of something else. So okay. I have another that's what we're doing, is we're dealing with. He just said it. So he had the nerve to say that. It actually is right there in verse 2, 13:2, says, "And the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion." You have a leopard, a bear, and a lion. Then he said this precepts you back to Daniel, which it does. Okay? Then he says, however, this is not talking about them, but that's a lie. If it's precepting you back to Daniel, then that's what it's talking about. You're talking about Edom and this European Union and this blah, 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 but there's no precept to that. See, that's why I want to do this video, is because people are just absorbing what these camp leaders are saying, and that they say to ignore where it's taking you back to, and just listen to them. And they're wrong. Did he show any evidence of how this is miraculously Edom, even though it says it's Satan? No.
He didn't show any example of how he got them flags either. How he got those nations, or how he got to NATO. I'm like, NATO? When the fuck was that made? Like, you know, like that was like, we're talking about something that predates that a long time ago. So this is weird.
But that's the point. That is the point.
Yeah.
And that nobody's getting this. It's just, well, Bishop Nathaniel said it.
But do you see how they doing it? It's almost like if you say something wrong, they kind of make you look stupid.
Yeah.
So you don't question them anymore. You're just gonna go with what they say.
Yeah. And that's why and then they got the nerve to call you a scoffer for exercising wisdom. But then you're the one that's scoffing because you're just listening to a man talk and you're not using any wisdom. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna ignore what John the Rev. What? I'm gonna ignore John and Daniel, which connects to Ezra. I'm gonna ignore 3 men that were prophets to just listen to what he's saying without any evidence. But that's what people do, right? So here's another example right here.
Now, here's where our breakdown comes in. Read.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, and verse 3.
Come on.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven.
Come on.
And behold, a great red dragon.
Now, later on, it goes on to reveal that red dragon is Satan.
Right.
But wait a minute. Since when do you have a Genesis story about a red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns? You don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't exist.
Right.
So what John the Revelator is seeing is significant of something. That red dragon goes back to the antagonist of the Bible, who was red all over and hairy like a garment. That's Edom. The 7 heads represent the 7 common markets. The 10 horns represent the rulers that come from them. Just like Daniel told you, there was a goat with horns.
Right.
That's what comes from it. Mm-hmm. The 7 crowns represent the principalities that continue on from that, right? That means they represent governments. And we would teach you that they are the Edomitic Caucasian governments. And you would say that's something that the Hebrew Israelites, hold on, we gotta put this. When I said that, you would say that's something that the Hebrew Israelites made up because they don't deal with the white man. One West doctrine. But wait until we read on and find out what your Christian scholars who believe the same thing as you, wait till we find out what they say. And that's why I love the Bible so much.
Notice he said this is where our breakdown comes in. Our breakdown. Nah, you can't. You can see it in his eyes. Yeah, you can see. You can see it. You can. Yeah, you can see it in his eyes. You can't tell him nothing, man. You can't. Let me stand correct. You can't show him anything.
Because he's just so clouded in his head.
Yeah.
That he's right.
Yeah.
And that is the work of who?
Exactly. Deception.
And it's crazy that they're literally on that topic and they're still so clouded.
They still are missing it. They are still missing it. But the key thing is
still deceived.
Yeah.
That just shows you his power.
Yeah. And what somebody else will say about them, that's what you're showing. That's one way. For example, 2 witnesses. I show one from one group and one from another group. They're saying the same thing. But none of these groups have shown anything that this is Edom. What do you say? The antagonist of the Bible. Nobody can show any evidence of anything. And you know why?
Because it's not there.
Because it's not true. One thing is that Edom was destroyed well before these events. After the book of Maccabees, you don't see Edom anymore. You don't see him anymore. The prophecy, I should do this and get this knocked out. I'm going to do this just to get it out of the way, right? Just to get it out of the way. We're going to go to Ezekiel 25. I'm going to show you the prophecy and the coming to pass of the prophecy, right? So Ezekiel 25 and 14. Ezekiel 25 and starting at 13 and 14.
You ready?
Yeah. Therefore, thus says Adonai Yahweh, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. Teman and Dedan is locations, and today what is known as Jordan, okay? This is not this NATO EU nonsense. This, what did he say? Edomitic Caucasian. Edomites have nothing to do with Caucasians.
Right. Okay, but
yeah.
Just Teman and Dedan, 2 different places, but you're saying they're now combining to form Jordan in one place?
No, they are 2, I guess you can say, cities located in what's known today as Jordan.
Okay.
Okay. So sword, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. And they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury. This is an Isaiah 63 connection. And they shall know my vengeance. Okay, so that's the prophecy. The coming to pass of this is in First Maccabee. Like after the Maccabees, you don't see Edom anymore. First Maccabee. You can go to chapter 4, right? I wasn't going to actually cover this today, but just it was in there. So here it is. So 4:29, and they came into Edom, excuse me, and pitched their tents in Beth Surah. And Yehuda, this is Judah Maccabee, obviously he's an Israelite, met them with 10,000 men. Remember, from the prophecy, by the hand of my people Israel, it would be okay. So that being said, and Yehuda met them with 10,000 men, and when he saw the mighty army, he prayed and said, "Blessed are you, O Savior of Israel," see, who did quell the violence of the mighty man by the hand of your servant David, and gave the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul, and his armor bearers. So, in just speeding this up, we're going to go across to 61, verse 61, same chapter. And they set their garrison to keep it, and fortified Beth Surah to guard it, and the people might have a defense against Edom. So this is a tussle. Again, that prophecy from Ezekiel. They're getting ready to lay Edom down. They're going to stretch them out. Okay. 5:3. Then Yehuda fought against the children of Esau in Edom at Arabatim, because they besieged Gael. So the coming to pass of that, okay? They fought against them. And he gave them a great what?
Overthrow.
And abated their courage and took their spoils. Okay? I'm going to go in on this. Also, he remembered the injury of the children of Beon, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, and that they lay in wait for them in the ways. He shut them up therefore in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned their towers in that place with fire, and all that were therein. Afterwards he passed over to the children of Ammon. That's going back into the Ammonites. So again, Jordan consisted of Moab, Ammon, and Edom. That's their whole region of quote unquote Jordan today. So that's the coming to pass of this. You don't see Edom or hear of them anymore after the Maccabees. Okay, after Maccabees chapter 5, there's no more Edomites. Okay, verse 65. Afterward went Yehuda forth with his brethren, and fought against the children of Esau in the land toward the Negev, where he smote Chevron and the towns thereof, and pulled down fort. This is all in the law. First thing. Second, this is the coming to pass of Edom being destroyed by the hand of his people Israel. After this, it's completely different enemies. So for him to say that in Revelation, this red dragon is just one nation, for one nation of people, that's ignorant.
Some of those crowns represent different kingdoms.
Yeah, it is different kingdoms. And that's what we're going to go into. It's 4 particular kingdoms, okay? And that's what this is. So let's just go on and get back to that. Like, again, you don't see Edom after this doing anything. Okay, that's
They
the
were destroyed. It says it very clear.
Yeah.
The throne destroyed.
You won't see, and I've been saying this for years, and nobody has been able to using. I mean, again, people are going to say something like the moon, for example, the moon is for feasts. How do you use the moon to determine days for the Sabbath day? You never hear that. Like, people say anything because it's spread around YouTube. But when it comes time to be a man and prove all things, saying something is not proving something. People don't know the difference between just frivolously saying something versus proving something. Nobody that goes to these, none of them have ever seen any proof or evidence as to what these 7 heads are in the kingdom of the 10 horns. Nobody has seen that because the leaders don't know that. And they're too prideful, as you've seen, to admit that. That's why we're doing this, okay? That being said, I had to address that. We're back in Revelations, okay? Now to address one of the lies. Chapter 13. 17 is going to be next. So 13. I'm gonna read this from the top. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Okay? I don't expect, you might remember, what is the sea?
The waters are the people.
There we go. According to this same book, that's where I got the chapter 17 from. If you go to 17 and 15, you're going to see that it's peoples, nations, tongues. That's the waters. It says it clear as day. Okay? So this beast is rising up out of the sea. Okay? Having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay? And upon his head are 10 crowns, and upon his head the names of blasphemy. Okay? Then it further goes into, and the beast, the same one which I saw, which again is Satan, was likened to a leopard. I wish I could show you this so you could see. Okay, so I have leopard, likened to a leopard underlined. And then I have, and his feet were as the underlined feet of a bear. And I have underlined mouth as the mouth of a lion. These are 3, this bear, lion, leopard, are 3 different kingdoms that he told, that you heard Bishop Nathaniel lie to you and tell you that this has nothing to do with what Daniel was talking about. Daniel is the foundational man that wrote about this. So why wouldn't you go to the source? You see what I'm saying? That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. Listen to me, not the man that initially wrote about this. So what we're going to do, it's 3 nations. What do we have here? So what I'm going to do is show, using Daniel, how these 3 is going to be first nation, the second nation, and the third nation. I'm going to show their particular kings, because that's what we're dealing with, and that's how you have a certain number of crowns. Kings wear crowns, duh. You feel me? It has nothing to do with a common market. Y'all are just making stuff up. I don't know if you caught that or not. He said it's some common market. That I don't read that.
I was actually just reading on to it. I'm like, what? Because I was just reading 3. Sorry, I just got to read it out. And I saw one up that says, as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So even in it being defeated, it was healed.
Yeah.
Because people keep feeding it.
Well, that's in Daniel. The wound was, I don't want to go left. So
Are we going to Daniel?
we're going to go there, but I wasn't going to go to that topic. Yeah.
What you was on?
Because basically, I don't like to just say things because I don't want to look like idiots like them, just talking and not showing. But coming back, we're dealing with 3. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this. Matter of fact, we're going to go to Daniel. it's probably better for you to yeah, and keep a space in Daniel 7, because I use the book heavy, and I've never seen no America is Babylon. I've never seen no NATO, EU.
America just was founded. It's like a couple of years ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've never seen.
I mean, not a couple for the record, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. But the point is, even yes, these things exist today, but where's your connection that that's what these prophets are talking about? I'm not going to deny that there's not no NATO or EU. I would be a fool.
Right.
But who says that that's what John, Daniel, Ezra are talking about? But nobody uses that much common sense. I heard Bishop Nathaniel. Yeah, I've heard what's his face from Sons of Thunder say XYZ. It's on YouTube. Anybody say something else, then that means they wrong. Mm-hmm. Even if they reading it straight out the book. Look at the views.
They must be right.
Look. Look.
They got. And they got Zelle and Cash App on their thing. They must be right.
Yeah. But it's funny you should say that, because I saw an idiot this week say something, and I'm just calling a spade a spade. This is more like a wake-up call, because if you're doing this, it's idiotic. It's to address it and change it, okay? But I heard a idiot say that, I think it was in that same video. He was just like, hey, and like the video. You an hour and 30 minutes into this, and you still ain't even got to the point yet. If it's really enlightening, if it's really going through the book, well, yeah, I'll because you did your homework, and I like what wisdom I see. If I see no wisdom, I'm not liking this. Like y'all, it's like y'all more so y'all 50-50, whatever percentage, 80-20 are doing this because it's YouTube versus are you actually proving what you're talking about? Okay, so Daniel 7. Let's see this. 7 and 3. My fault. I said 4. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse, one from another. Don't that sound familiar? The first was like unto a lion and had eagle's wings. Does it? Put some respect on Daniel. I don't know why these camps hate Daniel. And I'm saying hate because it's like they just, and I've seen them just break this down and they don't even go to the precepts to which this is talking about. I've seen them go just into history books and whatever.
So this has a precept. Even this has a precept.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put some respect on Daniel. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. That's another clue, okay? And it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man. And a man's heart was given to it, okay? I'm going to go through the 4, and then we're going to go to the precepts to each one. Showing and not just talking, okay? And behold, another beast, a second like unto a what?
A bear.
But wait a minute. In Revelation, he said, wait a minute. That ain't got nothing to do with Daniel. The foolishness, right? And raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth, which is very important. Of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Okay, that's the second one. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. But don't listen to Daniel, right?
Many Bibles will precept you back to Daniel 7. However, it's not saying that this beast is made up of the Persians and the Medes. Or what was one of the other in Daniel 7? The Babylonians. What else?
Persians and Greeks. And Rome.
And Rome.
which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. Lost my spot. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Okay? And then the 4th beast, after this I saw in a night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the remnant with the feet of it, and was diverse from all beasts that were before it. Well, there were 3 before. That's why the diversity is divided. This is important. I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna show it. It's 7 heads, 10 horns.
Right.
The one brother was right. A horn is a king, but also a head is a king. What you're going to see today is that the 7 heads is out of the first 3 nations. The 4th nation is the 10 horns out of that one nation. What's up?
Repeat that.
So what you're going to see today is that the set.
I'm trying to figure out why it's not recording me. Repeat.
What you're going to see today is that the 7 heads, which are 7 kings, are out of the first 3 nations. The 10 horns is out of the 4th nation. That's why it's divided 7 heads over here and 10 horns over there. That's why it says the 4th beast is diverse from the 3 before it.
7 heads out of the first 3 nations, 10 horns out of the
4th nation. That's, see, the 4th one
the 4th and final nation.
is says clearly that it's diverse from the 3 prior to it.
Mm-hmm. But it also says each of those 3 are diverse too.
Right, but they are. But I'm saying their kings are grouped together. That's why it's dividing it like, yeah, it's, yeah, exactly. That's why it's calling these heads and those horns. Okay. So now in Daniel's breakdown, not mine. Remember the brother said, this is our breakdown.
Now, here's where our breakdown comes in.
I don't have a breakdown. We're going to see what Daniel's breakdown is. Go back to verse 4, the first beast. What does it say? The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. It's giving us elements. So you have a lion with eagle's wings, and then that the wings were eventually plucked, and that the man was made to stand on his feet as a man, meaning he wasn't on his feet prior. This precept is in chapter 4. Whoops, chapter...
Daniel 4?
Yeah, chapter 4. So it told us what we're looking for. Start at verse 28. It says, not me, because all I'm going to do is quote. Niggas is going to say, oh, you said. No, I read. Okay. All this came upon who?
King Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of what kingdom? Let's see. Verse 30. The king spoke and said, is not this great Babel that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my... He had that Debo spirit. Okay. By the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty. While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying what? O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from you. That's very important, okay? Because something is being departed, his kingship is being departed. The kingdom is departed from you.
A fallen king.
That's what
like we discussed before. The wings symbolize
authority.
Yeah, and like a crown.
Like birds. This bird can go higher.
This first beast was once a king that could fly. Once revered, but his wings have been plucked.
the wings being plucked, his authority snapped. I was wondering if you was going to catch that. And I'm glad you're paying attention, because again, these niggas is just YouTube watching. They're not reading anything. The precept for your eagle's wings is right here, right? Or I'm going to say the first beast. I think verse 33. Okay, verse 33. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from men and did eat grass as an oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like what?
Eagles.
Like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. Now watch this. See that? You see that? You see that? This, but what are people doing? They'll read 7 in verse 4 and they'll go look up some history book off of Google. It's right here. You have no respect for Daniel. Let's keep going, because that ain't it yet. Let me see. I'm gonna see if you catch this last one, 34, right? And at the end of days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High El Elyon, and I praised and honored him that lives forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. That's the final element there. Let me see if you caught that. And a man's heart was given to him.
He was humble.
He was humbled, and he started. That's.
But is Nebuchadnezzar an Israelite?
Absolutely not. So this is one of my favorite books. So Daniel 1:1, read that. Yeah. Do your thing. It's like I'm gonna go to a history book.
I hate how when you want to go in the same book and you just look up the same book, it brings you to the whole like thing.
That's why when I come to studying, I have to 1:1. What it say?
In the 3rd year of the reign of Yehoiakim,
Yahweh Yakim, yeah.
Yahweh Yakim, king of Yehuda, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, into Jerusalem and besieged it. Okay, so he's from Babel.
Yeah, he's a Babylonian king. And they had, just for Babylonians had eagles on their flags. But go ahead. That's addressed in the Edom doctrine, but.
Okay. No, I'm just
also Egyptians
the
had.
significance of him like being humble to come to that realization that he was respecting the Most High.
Mm-hmm. Because he was like, my kingdom, I did, like he had Debo's, but who else wants some of Debo? You know how Debo used to do the stiff man walk. He had that spirit as a king. That's not my pop. It's the last days.
The sequence of events to happen towards the last days.
At the beginning of the last days, yes.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. That's another reason why I'm doing this, because if you don't know the definition that the book gives you of the last days, I think that's what prompts these idiots to make up doctrine. And I'm saying idiot because it's a wake-up call. I'm calling a spade a spade. It's idiotic to assume something and then therefore make up a false doctrine. Because you see that this is last days, and then you're forcing it to be today with this NATO, EU, la land doctrine. Right. That's not the case. So I'm not going to answer that question yet, because I want the prophets to reveal that to you. Okay? Oh, this is just tipping the iceberg though. So we back in Daniel. So that's what I'm saying. Those elements in chapter 4 are showing that that's this nation right here. Okay? I'm going to do this. So you had, and I got my different colors. The first beast, I'm going to do this. It's like a Detroit lion. I'm going to give the name of the nation. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to walk slow. Lion, you see Babel, okay? Now, we'll go to Daniel 5:2. No, as you were, 5 from the top. We're going to go verse 1 and 2. Sorry about that.
Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast.
Who? What's the name?
Belshazzar
Okay.
The king made a great feast to thousands of his princes and drank wine before the thousand. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem.
Okay.
The king and his princes, his women,
Right.
and his concubines might drink therein.
The takeaway there, you have King who?
Belshazzar,
Who was his father?
Nebuchadnezzar, the previous king.
Remember exactly. It's a father and son kingdom. His father got humbled. Next in command is his son.
But doesn't this go into that statue of the man?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Because that head, that's how you know a head is a king.
Mm-hmm.
Because it said directly, that's in the same book, you are this head of gold. He's the head of his nation, but he's also the head of the multiple nations, 1, 2, 3, and 4 to follow. That's how you, okay, so who are the two names that you have out of this kingdom that are kings?
Nebuchadnezzar to start and Belshazzar.
And there we go. That's two. That's out of the same nation. You can have more than one king out of a nation. What they do is assume that when they see 10 horns, that this is 10 different nations. What they assume is with 7 heads, that this is 7 different nations. That's not what Daniel shows us. Right now already we have 2 kings. Let's continue. Same chapter, chapter 5. Go to verse 28 on to the end of the chapter. Verse 28.
Are you sure it's not 27? Wait.
So 26, I think through that is just the handwriting on the wall. I want to get to the point. So verse 28. Parak.
Parak, your kingdom is divided and given to the Madai and the Persians.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that night was Belshazzar the king of the
Chaldeans. So Babylonians is another way of saying Chaldeans, vice versa.
In the same night. And Darius, the Median,
Median,
took the kingdom being about 70 years old.
So that's the next inferior nation coming in. This is an event. I don't need to go to some historian, whatever,
Right.
but that's what camps do. They have little respect for Daniel. So if the second king was, this is important. This is a transfer. If the second king, father and son, the son is ruling, but then he's killed, and then the next kingdom comes, that's closing the seal on the first kingdom. Does that make sense? Because somebody can say, oh, there was like 9 kings in Babylon based upon the historian move. That's not what Daniel's prophesying. He's prophesying a certain kings.
Yeah.
Because how can you add more kings when it's showing it's taken and then another kingdom is coming in?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So I'm trying to, our 7 heads. What all are we counting here?
We're counting this. Let's see. Because this is like, you really have to have your thinking cap on when you do this. So, in answering your question, I'm going to read real quick Revelation 17. and 9. Revelation 17 and 9. And here is the mind which has wisdom. The mind who watches YouTube and listens to just people say NATO, EU? No. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 kings. That's what we're doing. The kings are listed. When you respect Daniel and go to what he's talking about and not listen to Bishop Nathaniel, you're going to see how these kings play out.
So, just from my understanding, we have Nebuchadnezzar,
Belshazzar.
Belshazzar, but then
That's
we have
what
Daniel being a third.
He's not a king. If he was a king wouldn't give him a position.
So then it's Darius.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Okay.
That's where you jumped ahead of me.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing. I'm just answering that question.
Okay.
So, again, if the second king, that's what we're coming back to. I'm showing that the second king was the son, Belshazzar. Okay? So, if the second king is Belshazzar, and the way he was killed is important. How was he killed? He was slain. So, that's important, okay? This is my little bootleg sword, and it's pointing this direction. That's where we're going to transition. So if you go to Daniel 7 and I want to say 7 and 5.
And behold, another beast, a second, like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh.
That's the transition. We're going to keep track. I got a scoreboard. You feel me? Okay. This is your Babylonian lions versus your Persian.
You can also hop if you put the name, but I guess you ain't got that much space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't need the names. That's not important. But the Babylonian lions versus your Persian bears, like an NFL doggone. Think of it like that. Okay. So, how do we know? Based upon verse 5, these elements of ribs in the mouth and the teeth. How do we know? It's 3. What is a rib according to the Bible?
Life.
No. You see, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Flesh and the bone. What does that take you back to? To Genesis events.
My people?
So in Genesis 3, that's close. In Genesis 3, also in Genesis, I believe, chapter 20, I think it's 27, when Jacob went to help Laban, Laban was like, hey, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. Chapter 3, you have the helpmate. Helpmeet was what I was looking for. Helpmeet is someone that's assisting. It's like a deacon is a helpmeet to the pastor. It's not exclusive to marital relationships. People think that. So in Genesis 3, you see Eve was Adam's rib. You remember that? I can go there if I need to.
No, I remember.
Okay, so that's what a helpmeet is. When it's a rib, your side, okay? It's your assistant. So when you see 3 ribs in the mouth of the bear, you should have that in mind. The bear is the second kingdom. 6. I said 7, it was 6. I get my numbers mixed up. I'm human. So 6 from the top. I'm going to read this. It pleased Darius. He just killed the second king of Babylon. Remember, we got it sealed. It's 2 kings in Babylon, okay? It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 what?
President.
How many presidents?
3.
A president, we think a president is top dog. We're ignorant. A president is only a president, okay? It's like you have a company, you assign presidents. The fact that you assign them means that they are not top dog, okay? So these three presidents, to save time, when you go from verses 4 through, this is an account of those presidents falsely accusing Daniel, and then he gets thrown in the lion's den for making a violation of the king's decree. You follow me? I don't know if you ever heard this account before. Okay, you should read this for your notes. This chapter is talking about these three presidents.
Which Daniel was the first?
He was over them. But as far as their nationality goes, these three presidents are Medo-Persians, okay? That's their kingdom. Those three accused Daniel. They were some haters. I mean, you got this nigga over, basically. So that's the account. He gets thrown in a lion's den. But the Most High has favor in him, because the reason he was thrown in a lion's den was for being faithful, okay? Right. They made a law that says you can't worship your own God, but he still prayed to the Most High. He got cast into the lion's den for that. The tide turns. The lions don't eat up Daniel. Verse 24 of chapter 6. And my apologies for mixing up the chapters. I hate when I do that. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their women, and the lions had the mastery of them, and broke all their bones in pieces before they came at the bottom of the den. That second kingdom, obviously it's the Persians. We saw Darius come in. This is when this is happening. You see the three men, the presidents, the quote unquote ribs to the king, being thrown, devour much flesh, broke their bones in pieces. You see these elements here? I don't need to go to a history. I don't need to do all of this floppity flop like the camps do.
I didn't even catch it at first when I saw three. I think it threw me off because they said Daniel was one. So that's what threw me off.
Well, he was, but
he was one, but he was not one of the.
It flipped. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's right here. This is how you know that this is the second. You know what I'm saying? But Bishop Nathaniel is like, nah, don't listen to Daniel. Nah, don't do that.
But it's crazy because they're so close. Because, other people will read that about the beast. They don't say, oh, some beast is going to come.
And that's
even worse.
That's even further ignorance.
Yeah.
That's further ignorance. So, but this is about wisdom. So now we're at the Persian bears. So we know that the second kingdom, the ribs is, I'm going to put MP for Medo-Persian, okay? We know that they killed them. So we need to find out how many kings the Medo-Persians have. Remember, our whole point is in the last days, who is this 7 heads and 10 horns? That's our point of doing this. Remember, I told you this is a deep lesson. So it's in Daniel. Go to Daniel 11:2. Daniel 11:2. I'm ready. Like SpongeBob, I'm ready. I can do that.
I don't know my SpongeBob. But anyway, and now will I show you the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings of Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all.
So, how many kings in Persia is that?
4.
There's 4 kings, okay? There's 4 kings. But this is important. It's divided 3 and then 1. That's very important. You're going to see why. Continue in 11:2. Continue.
Far richer than they are, and by his strength, through his riches, he shall store up all against the realm of
Yawan. That's Greece, yeah. And notice, we know what we have is, it'll say Yawan or Greece or Grecia. That's actual Greece. Again, these camps, I say that because even though it says Greek, it's Edom. Like, nah, that book is wrong. It's Edom. But they've been destroyed as of when we go back to the point in Revelation. They've been destroyed already. We're dealing with the set. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So he shall stir up against the realm of the Greeks.
Continue.
No, that's the punchline right there. The realm of the Greeks is the following kingdom. Okay. So we're with the Medo-Persians right now. Okay. So this is where we at on the scoreboard. The next transfer occurs right here. So there's a prophecy and then the coming to pass. I love doing this, man. I love doing this. In Daniel chapter 8, and I hope I'm not going too fast. No? Okay. In Daniel 8, starting at verse 20. Again, this chapter is talking about a tussle between a goat and a ram. Okay? The goat had, the goat had 2 horns. The goat had 1 horn. And the ram had 2 horns. This tussle between this goat and the ram is a tussle between the Persians.
So this MP, is that considered one nation?
It's 2. Remember the bear was raised up more on one side when you read that? I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
You don't sound for sure.
Well, I do remember, but it's still one entity.
No, it's 2. It's essentially Elam and the Medes. One of those 2 nationalities. One's Semitic, the other one's Yafet. They kind of merged together. So you see Persia, kind of like Chaldea with Babylon and Assyria. It's called Chaldea collectively, more so. Okay. So it's the same thing here. You have MP, Middle Persian, is to show one side was raised up over the other, Elam side. Okay. So going back to this. So this vision about a goat and a ram tussling, this is the sum of it in verse 20. The ram which you saw having 2 horns are the kings of the Medes and Persians. Okay. 2 kingdoms, like I just explained. Verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of who?
Greece.
Of Yuan, Greece. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the what?
First king.
Is the first king. We haven't covered that yet. We about to. Transition time. So, and then after that, it says that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it. Okay. That's literally go to 7 and 6 of Daniel. We're going to go and transition to our 3rd kingdom that he told us to ignore.
Who told us?
Bishop Nathaniel.
Oh, okay. After this, I beheld and lo another, like a leopard.
Like a what?
A leopard, which had the back of it 4 wings of a fowl.
Mm-hmm.
The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Right there. Again, we just read that there was the first king, and in verse 22 it says that whereas 4 there's a long chain of not proving doctrines, but people believe it. Okay, that's why I made that statement earlier. But coming back, this is the point. Let's not lose focus. Is that this vision of a goat and a ram, and the rough goat is the king of Yuan. Notice king is singular. So and the rough goat is the king of Yuan. It's 1 king. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, because it's 1. Okay. Now that being broken, so basically something happened to where it was dividing into 4. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The point is that it's this specific 1 king that breaks the Medo-Persians' 2 horns, MP, Medo-Persian. It's 2, okay? So the coming to pass of this happens in 1 Maccabees 1:1. We're now in Maccabees, right? when this comes to pass. Matter of fact, you can read that.
1-1.
Yep, First Maccabees from the top.
And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian.
Who?
Alexander,
Son of Philip the Macedonian.
who came out of the land of Kidium,
Greek.
had smitten Darius,
Man.
king of the Persians, and Madai. That he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
The first. That's important. So, Alexander. So, you see that when you go back to chapter 7, that this leopard, that's your first king. And then it's divided. That's why you have 4 wings on the leopard. You go back to 7 and 6, when you read that, you're going to see that you have 4 wings on your leopard. So, you see that?
But why are there 4 wings?
Because it was broken from the first. We just read that. There was the first king who killed the second. He killed Darius. They gave him his name, Philip, son of Alexander. After a certain events which we haven't reached yet, it's divided into 4. That's why this third beast, which is a leopard, has 4 wings.
I'm not getting the 4 though. Darius.
No, because you're in the second one, not the third one.
But we haven't gotten to
We
it.
haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, well then that's confusing. Okay.
Yeah, it's one thing at a time. One thing at a time. That's why I'm going slow, so we don't just jump, because that can be confusing. So 7 and 6 reads what?
Wait, Maccabees or?
Yeah, we done with Maccabees. Well, for right now, go back to Daniel. Daniel 7.
After this, I beheld in lo another like a leopard,
So that okay, keep going.
which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl.
That 4 wings, which you're going to train. I'm going to show that, but the thing is the first over the Greeks. Yeah, I like that. I'm not trying to you in suspense, but I really, that's why I have a scoreboard.
Okay.
So when you go back to 11 and 2 of Daniel, booyah, that's that vision between the goat and the ram, and we know that the goat prevailed. We saw that in Maccabees. That right there we read in First Maccabees 1 and 1. That's who that's talking about. That king, the first over Yawan, or the Greeks.
Okay, so we have 5.
So we have a total of, this is your 7 heads right here.
Oh, okay.
So now we're at the Greeks, which is not Edomites. They're Greeks.
Yeah, because I'm confused. I mean, because how else were you going to kill them without slaying them?
Exactly.
But, okay.
Okay, so that's our scoreboard. We have 2 Babylonian kings, we have 4 Persian kings, and then we have 1 king of the Greeks.
It's not complete.
Well, that's the 7 heads, because there's also, that's your 7 crowns. And you have 10 kings in the 4th beast, okay? We haven't made it to the 4th beast yet. And everything that you see on the scoreboard is from reading. I did not just say it's this and that and this and that and all that fuwawa nana. It's literally in the book of Daniel and 2nd Ezra. Okay? 4th beast. Daniel 7 and 7. And this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and broke in pieces and stamped the remnant with the feet of it. Okay? And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. The 3 beasts that were before it. 7 kings. Okay? And it had 10 horns. A horn is a king. Remember in Daniel with the goat and the ram? It literally called the king a horn. But this is diverse, so that's why we're calling them horns for the 4th beast. It's diverse, okay? All right, verse 19.
So, Daniel what? Because I'm like...
Then I will know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all others, okay? It keeps putting emphasis on the diversity, right? from all others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were as iron and nails of brass. Jump down to verse 23. I just want to save time. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings. We've already established that a horn is a king. The point is that this is 10 kings out of 10 kingdoms, or is it out of one kingdom?
10 kings in one kingdom.
Because it says one kingdom, right?
Of this.
Why did we watch on a camp video? It listed 10 different kingdoms, but it's one kingdom.
Totally. I mean, I was going to say this earlier. There's a scripture that if you take away from the book of life,
Yeah.
or add to it,
Yeah.
then you're going to atone for that.
Yeah. But they don't realize they're doing it. And this is like, even with, how's up?
How can you not realize you're doing it when you read it?
It's just like, it's just because they're not reading it. They're being taught a doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
They're being taught that it's NATO EU.
But I think they're just, again, I just think they're so, I'm going to make this somehow, I'm going to make this be these people who I don't like.
Exactly. Right there.
Yeah.
I know God has a beef with this nation, even though it's past tense, they've been destroyed in Maccabees. I'm going to revive that and put it against the people that enslaved us recently. Because all these nations enslaved us. That's the remnant here. All these nations did. But I know the Most High right there. So I'm going to have a beef and make up doctrines to support my beliefs and make it look like God is justifying my hatred.
Yep.
That's what's going on. And they too ignorant to know because they just watching YouTube. Nobody's going to look and see. It says it clear as day is one kingdom. It's 10 kings out of. We had one kingdom with 4 kings. We had one kingdom with 1 king. We have one kingdom with 2 kings. We have to keep a scoreboard. This is simple note taking. 24. The 10 horns out of this one kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. This is another point. This is the point of the 10 kings. And another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. He shall subdue 3 kings. That came to pass in Maccabees, right? I know there's a lot of information here, so it seems like I'm taking up a lot of time. I don't want to do that. It's just we have to read to find these things. This is the thing. Go back to 17. Go to Revelation. Go to Revelation 17. I always catch myself though. Revelation 17 and 9. We start at verse 9.
And here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And
Hold. So right there, it said 5 have fallen, 1 is, and 1's to come. You have past, present, future, okay? What people are doing is they're making the mistake of making the 1 is like is today. Does that make sense? Well, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but that's what they're doing. Am I clear? Let me ask that. Am I clear? So, but it's right here in front of you. It said 5 have fallen, 1 is, and 1's to come. It's through the eyes of Daniel, the prophet. See that? What's 2 plus 3?
That's 5.
Right there is your 5 have fallen. That's why it did it 3 and 1. The 1 shall be far richer. Okay? It's different time. That's the past. This is the present. This is the rich one. 1 is, 1 is to come.
But hasn't Greece come?
As far as what time period? You just did almost like what they did.
But that's what I was asking earlier. It's like Revelation is speaking on what is to come, right?
You don't know that, so don't say that. Okay?
I guess that's my confusion.
If you haven't read that, you have no reason to believe that. Okay? So if 5 kings through this is Daniel, because that's where this is coming from. The fact that you have 7 kings mentioned right there is bringing you back to Daniel. Okay? So you got that? You read all of this. You have the past according to Daniel's time. 5 have fallen. You have the 1 is, and then 1 to come. That's verification that this is accurate versus NATO, EU, blah, blah, sadi, la, la. Okay? La, la land. Okay? See, people they put a false emphasis on 10 horn. Okay, the point is that a horn is a king. There was 10 initial kings. Then it mentions a little horn. I think 7 and 24 mention little horn. Verse 24, I'm going to say.
And the 10 horns of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise.
Mm-hmm.
And others shall arise after them.
Right.
And he shall be diverged from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings.
Right there. Which came to pass in the Maccabees. So it says little horn, right? How did I get in Luke? My fault. I lost my spot when I stood up. So right here. So chapter 7 and verse 8. So you can see everything that even if I say it by mistake, you can still see it. I considered the horns, plural, the 10 horns. And behold, there came up among them another little horn, okay, from whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the root. And so that's where when I say little horn, that's that king, that subsequent king after the initial 10, okay, that you see in verse 24, just to show that witness. Okay, so that being said, the reason why you see this is 1, I'm going to put L for little horn. You have 1 little horn. That's number 8. From the 4. Again, this 10 horns of 10 kings out of this 4th beast, the emphasis is the little horn. So it's a real total of 8, but this side is diverse from the first 3. That's how it should look. Again, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and 1's to come. Then you have your 8th king out of the 4th kingdom, okay? Everything we read is right here, okay? There's another method in checking this, okay? And I don't mean to be long if I seem long.
Go ahead, man. Don't
but
this is 7.
But this is a deep lesson. It's a deep lesson. I'm gonna wrap this up, I believe, and go to 4 Ezra, chapter 12. You got there quick. All right, that's what's up. All right, this is a summary of a vision that Ezra had in the previous chapter. It's the interpretation. I'm using this because it's the interpretation. I don't have my own interpretation. 12 and 8. Comfort me then, and show me your servant the interpretation and plain difference of this fearful vision, that you may perfectly comfort my soul. This is the interpretation. We read interpretations and don't come up with our own, okay? But he said this is our breakdown.
Now, here's where our breakdown comes in.
You don't have jurisdiction to have your own breakdown, okay? Verse 9. For you have judged judged me worthy to show me the last times. See how this is going in what you... Okay? You're going to see that this is the last days and the nations that connect to it. Verse 11. You can go 10 and 11. We're just going to start. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. This is the eagle who you saw come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision by who? Your brother Daniel. He had enough respect to give Daniel his props when the Most High said the interpretation is found by your brother Daniel. Okay? Let's get some understanding. I want to do this first. We're going to deal with that part in between, but we're going to jump down to verse 19. Verse 19. And whereas you saw the 8 small under feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. That's the 3rd time we saw that. That in him there shall arise what?
8 kings.
How many?
8.
What that scoreboard say?
See.
Where you see 10? This.
Oh, the kings, the number. Yep.
You have 7 kings.
1, 2. Yes.
You have 7 kings, and then it's the little horn. The little horn.
Yep.
Okay. It's 8 total kings. You have 8 kings. It says it verbatim, whose time shall be but small and their years swift. Let's see what's up. Let's see what's up. Verse 21. Let's break this down. 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. Hold up. What does that say? Babylon 2. Okay. 4 shall be kept until their end begin to approach. Immediately following the Medo-Persians. This is why I'm doing this. We putting respect on Daniel. Everything we read from Daniel. Okay. But 2 shall be kept unto the end. Okay. You have that Greek king and that little horn from Rome. See what I'm saying? It's adding up.
I didn't know that was wrong. I don't think you added that.
Well, right, because I didn't go into so that one is, and Luke, I think it's Luke 3, shows that that final one is Tiberius Caesar. That's the one that was doing this thing at the time of Christ, getting crucified. That's who the king was. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's important to know. Like, this might seem drawn out, but the answers are in the book. I've not said one thing. Everything has been read, okay? Verse 22. And whereas you saw 3 heads resting, this is the interpretation. This is the 4th time we saw that. In the what?
In the last days shall El Elyon.
But what's the whole? Don't fly through this. You've been in the back of...
This is the interpretation.
Right.
But then I don't see nothing else.
Okay. Do it in the back of your mind today. You've had in your brain. Doesn't Revelation talk about the last days and what? It's giving you the last days and the nations relevant to the last days. Okay. This has nothing to do with today yet. So when you see one is, it has nothing to do with is today. This is through the Daniel prophecy. Talking about 5 have fallen, one is, and one is talking about that. Right. The last days is not what we think that they are, because people assume without defining it what it is. That comes from Daniel and Ezra, that terminology. So we have to put respect on their names to know which time period and nations they're talking about. So we don't get it. Oh, well, last day, that must be since I'm alive. I see white man, either that must be the magician. It's got to be. It's a dummy doctrine. connected to further dummy. It's a network of dummy doctrine. Let's get it. That in the last days shall El Elyon raise up how many kingdoms?
3.
So we have 3 kingdoms. Remember in Revelation 13, it was bear, what was it? Lion, bear, and leopard. Those are, let's see. Let's just check and see. 3 kingdoms and renew many things. Let's jump down to 25. For this is the beginning of the punchline. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, that shall finish his last end. That's the last days. It's these particular events to these people.
Whose wickedness?
The Most High. So there, and I forgot the book right now. What is the point of the nations outside of Israel? Is to accomplish the Most High's wickedness in the day of wicked. So there's prophecy that wicked would be in the earth. Who's going to do that? We've been reading that it's Satan, his king, and the nations of those kings. We're reading that. Okay?
So it's not for us, if we want to be holy and go to heaven, it's not for us to be the wicked. Essentially?
No, I'm saying it like...
It can't be us doing our own wickedness to us. I mean, even though we do.
I was going to say. But I don't...
It's not designed for that.
It's not designed, no. But it's balance. Like the Most High is just and balance. You have good, you have evil. You have love, you have hate. Okay. So... Okay, verse 26, here we go. Pay attention, right? Whereas you saw that the great head appeared no more, it signifies that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. Wasn't there a bed on the scoreboard? You read that one king would be sick? That was your head of the Greeks, Yoan. That was in 1 Maccabees, I want to say 5 through 9.
I didn't know he was sick, but I feel like I saw that in the movie.
You probably did, but
Alexander.
It's in Maccabees.
Right, we know about what Alexander.
I'm gonna read it verbatim. I'm gonna read it verbatim, cause man, you making that mess up. Here we go. So verse. Yeah, I had you read it at 6. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants. That's when you started reading that. He was about to, that's how the servants put crowns upon their heads. Okay? So he knew he was going to die. Booyah. This is the Greeks. Okay? So that's who that's talking about. When you go back to 12 and 26, then for the 2 that remain shall be slain with the sword. Right on the scoreboard. You see what I'm saying? Because this all has to go back to Daniel. The first 3, bear lion is 3-headed eagle. That's your same first 3 kingdoms. They each transition by 2 swords and 1 falling sick and dying upon the bed. That should tell you something. That this is accurate over UN, NATO, EU, woo woo. I don't read NATO, EU, but I see verification that 2 nations' kings would die by the sword and 1 upon his bed. Babylon, Persia, Greece, lion, bear, leopard. 7 heads. It's verification. 2, 4, 2. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is. It's literally like a way to verify something. It's another witness. I don't see this with NATO, EU, unless they just start making up stuff.
Right.
That's why I showed you the night, and this is the day. What's wrong and what's correct. Ezra shows it, and this is the last days, the latter days. Okay? Excuse me. That's what's going on here. The last days is not what we think it is. Because we saw it on Vampire in Brooklyn. The whore of Babylon. Babylon's America. I don't read that Babylon is America. But I see that Babylon is a city that's prophesied to be destroyed by Ezra. But that's in another thing. That's what you have right here. 2 dying by the sword and 1 upon the bed. Okay? I think I'm going to stop. There's one more thing I could do, but I think I'm going to stop.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, because this is a lot to dwell on. Because, well, I guess...
It's really simple.
Well, I'm just...
What's
what
up?
you just said, the last thing you just said,
Mm-hmm.
the 8 horns.
No, I said 8 kings total. The one little horn. People put this emphasis on the number of 10 horns in the 4th beast.
Yeah.
There's no, because it's not going to list a bunch of kings' names. That's insignificant. Because there's no point in that. The point is that it mentioned a little horn. And that's the quote unquote 8th. Gives his name is Tiberius Caesar in Luke. Okay? But
where are the other 7?
we went through all of that, like literally nation by nation.
Okay. Okay. So then where's the 10 coming from?
That's the first 10 kings of that kingdom, which is Rome.
Got it. And then
because that's
our
what
emphasis is only on that one little one.
Yeah, that's why I keep saying that.
Okay, maybe I didn't hear that.
Because it's these first two of Babylon kings. That doesn't mean these are the only ones ever. First 4 of it's a head. Your head is the beginning. It's the beginning.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's not like total and that's why these guys don't know any of this, because they're running the history. But, well, the Persians had blah, 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 according to Wuchiwu. That's not according to Daniel and Ezra. Mm-hmm. You immediately exit the book after reading a couple of sentences. Right. You immediately do that. But that's the thing. It's the 10 horns. Like they put an emphasis on the number of toes. When you go to chapter 2, the statue, which kind of mirrors this, there's no emphasis on the number of toes. It just says the feet and toes were clay and iron. And that iron doesn't mix well with clay. Like, there's no emphasis on the number of toes. It's the nation that it represents. The iron was Rome, the clay was Israel. That's how you have the Tiberius and Israelites and Romans together in the first place. It's more verification. But that's what this is right there. It's everything is read. That's why you have verification. 5 have fallen, 1 is, 1's to come. Bear, lion, leopard. Yeah, the first 5, and then that's how it's doing it. Everything's verified, but when you just don't respect Daniel, when you don't respect Ezra, and you respect your camp leader more than the prophets themselves, I've actually heard them guys call themselves prophets, but you're prophesying opposite of what they're talking about.
And how are you doing any different than what these nations did?
What do you mean?
How they worship these Nebuchadnezzar's, these
Yeah.
how by doing that, what they're doing, how is it any different from what they did?
It's just like they worship these guys too. They won't admit it.
You know, and I don't know we getting off topic, but I've been seeing it on YouTube all week on stuff I'm looking at. You know, who just got married?
No.
Rizza Islam, and they was going crazy. I guess they think he's going to be some new prophet. Yeah.
But how you a prophet if you're connected to Islam, and that has nothing to do with prophecy.
Right.
Like they call Elijah Muhammad a prophet, but he's never prophesied anything. But you have all of these prophets here, and their prophecies came to pass, but people dismiss it. Like we went over history, no religion today, out of quote unquote the Bible. This is history and prophecy connected.